Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome back to episode 4 of the Fighters Rep podcast. It's your man, the Fighters Rep Fez, George, joined by none other than the world's most argumentative man, Gary Ignorant Behavior Martin. Gary, how are you doing this week, brother?
I'm doing good, man. So far, so good. A little tired from work, but other than that, I'm good.
So far, so good. It's our 4th episode. Not bad. We're moving along over here.
Yeah.
So, we touched on during the last podcast. This is what I want to talk about. We touched on Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. We gave our prediction on that. We were right. And, another thing that's kind of come up since the last podcast is the whole Boots versus Bud thing. I want to go through that with you as well. And then we've also had the pleasure of course, having you watch and sit through Darren Smith versus David Pacheco 1. By the way, you just muted your microphone. You're going to have to unmute it. But, okay, you did it on purpose. Okay, so David Pacheco, Darren Smith 1. You watched it. You're going to give us your thoughts on the rematch, which is happening on September 9th at Fighters Rep. Number 19. And if you people haven't got your tickets yet, you can get them at FightersRep.com. So first and foremost, Gary, Nate Diaz, Jake Paul, it kind of went as expected for us. I think we even thought he could have finished Nate Diaz, or he might finish Nate Diaz late in the fight, but we definitely knew Jake Paul was going to win that fight. What did you make of that fight? What did you think of that fight? Give me your opinion on that one.
It's pretty much what I expect out of Jake Paul fight. You know what I mean? I don't really, especially against a older UFC fighter that's not in his prime anymore, expected Jake to win. Yeah. I thought he was gonna knock him out eventually. To be honest with you, I thought he was gonna knock him out, get him out of there. That's before the fight. I thought he was gonna knock him out before the fight. Then after seeing the fight in the first round, I text you. I was like, this ain't gonna last long. He got rocks right away. And I'm like, well, this ain't gonna last long. I'm like, because it's just, Nate's never been a knockout puncher.
Yeah.
So, and he wasn't throwing anything like that was that vicious. He had a couple punches here and there he put a little bit into it, but you can hear, Sean Porter urging him on to turn into his punches, sit down on some punches, really throw something of consequence. All you're doing is throwing flat punches, and you're not really hurting Jake. And the plan, I guess, was let's see if we can just tire him out, and he'll be too tired to fight back. And I guess that's your only strategy, because you never been a really knockout puncher. You know what I'm saying? But it was entertaining. I've never seen a guy that could go, most of the MMA guys, they really can't go 12 rounds. Even though, MMA is very taxing on the body, and in the championship, you go 5 rounds, and you got to do all the grappling and kicking in the legs, and it's a full body contact, and I heard that's very difficult. I ain't never been there.
Yeah,
I've been in the boxing ring before, and I know that's difficult with the amount of punches that you got to throw in the movement. But but for him, you've seen Conor McGregor, even though we know he don't have great cardio, we've seen him die out. We even seen Jake Paul, who focuses on boxing purely, die out against against Fury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I kind of thought
take it too serious.
I thought Jake Paul was kind of gassing in this fight. I thought he gassed a little bit in this fight.
He was getting tired. Yeah, but he held it better than he did against Fury.
Yeah.
He held it better than Gilligan. And the only thing, my takeaway from this fight, I didn't take away anything different from Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz is who he is. He's a character. He's a showman. So it was a good show. He put on a good show and everything. So I appreciated that, and I like that. But I feel like Jake Paul still has a long way to go before he can really step in there with somebody who really knows what they're doing, because somebody who really knew what they did would have got Nate Diaz out of there a while ago. They wouldn't have been all 10 rounds. They would have got Nate Diaz up out of there. They would have sat down and said, this guy ain't throwing nothing hard. I'm just going to sit down and knock him out.
For me, man, I don't know, and I don't know if you agree with this. I don't think you do, but for me, I felt like Nate Diaz was actually coming on later in the fight. I feel like that's what the Diaz brothers do, man. They either so in a real fight, nobody in the history beats the Diaz brothers. They'll just kill you at a real fight because if it just keep going as long as they want it to go, like they always, for me, I know you said like MMA guys can't do it in the boxing world or whatever, like can't last. But I feel like I've never seen a Diaz brother get tired. I've never seen it. And so I just feel like if it were a real life fight, everybody loses to the Diaz brothers.
Well,
But
see,
like
here's the thing is though. Here's the thing is they may not never get tired, but everybody can get knocked out.
that's true. But they don't really get knocked out. But they don't really get knocked out like that either. It's very rare for them to get knocked
If you
out.
put them in the boxing ring with a real boxer.
Oh yeah. That could happen. That could happen. But I want to say like I felt like Diaz was actually coming on later in the fight, and I felt like he was landing. I'm with you in that. I don't think he was like he throws like knockout punches. He doesn't have power like that. I don't even know if he has any fast twitch at all. I think he probably smoked it all away. And all the motor skills are probably gone with it with all the smoking he does. I don't know, but I felt like he was landing like some uppercuts and stuff here and there. It was hurting Jake Paul. And had he been more, I don't know, there mentally and maybe younger, maybe he could have like gone for the finish or something. But I definitely thought Paul won the fight like pretty handily. But like you said, he was a real boxer in there. I mean, what it showed me is if he's in there with a real boxer that knows what he's doing, I agree with you, man, that he gets knocked out. And then I think he had the nerve to call out Canelo or something. No, bro, don't do that to yourself, bro.
Man, he's doing that just for the money. Because I'm gonna tell you, this is amazing to me that this guy keeps selling out stuff. Like, Francis Ngannou was talking about. He's like, this is a full stadium. Like that's part over there usually empty, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I'm not knocking him. Hey, do what you do, but I'm just like, he got beat. I can see you. People keep watching to see if he got beat yet. See if he's gonna get beat. He got beat already. So it's like he got beat now. So now the curiosity should be gone. I had a friend that said, I didn't watch it. He lost already. I know somebody who said that, but it's still crazy that he has that many people that's like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this to see if he wins again.
I think people want to watch him get beat up, and I think also like Nate Diaz has so many fans. Like people just love the Diaz brothers. Whatever they do, a lot of people are just gonna follow them around. But I think like the combination of people loving the Diaz brothers and loving them so much they want to see them beat up Jake Paul made it for a spectacle, But yeah, I mean, I think he kind of maybe he peaked in that Tommy Fury fight. I mean, I don't know. Do you think he could beat a Tommy Fury or somebody above that level of fighter?
I mean, I definitely think he could beat Tommy Fury because I mean that Tommy Fury fight, it wasn't like he got blown out, and I don't think Tommy Fury is a great boxer either. I mean, I think he's a low budget Ryan Garcia, not this Ryan Garcia because he can fight. But I mean, I'm talking about like the Instagram pretty boy, model kind of dude. Like, hey, I'm a low budget Ryan Garcia. Hey, come see me.
The English version. And my brother can
but like. He didn't really have skills. Like, I mean, he was decent. I mean, of course, he knows how to box. He's come from a boxing family, but he's not a brother for sure. No. I mean, but I just, I mean, I think he could beat Tommy Fury just from watching him fight because he hit Tommy Fury a couple of times and it shook Tommy Fury a couple of times.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't advise him to keep up this moving around the ring like he's bouncing type of thing all the time because that's gonna get tiring, man.
Yeah.
And I felt like in the later rounds of the Diaz fight, his punches didn't have the same velocity thing power he had early on. Like he started to me, I don't know, I gotta look at the numbers. I ain't looking at the numbers, but he started throwing less. It looked like okay, let me catch my breath. Let me sit here, and that's when Diaz was able to get off a little bit. Like you're saying in the later rounds, he was able to get off a little because he's literally like trying to let Diaz go. All right, just go. I'm tired. I'll try to block what I can block and this, that, and I'll move away, but I'm tired. I can't punch back with you again. Yeah. I really think he was fucking tired of him.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I don't know what Jake Paul does next. Maybe a rematch with Tommy Fury is the only thing that makes sense at this point. But I don't know. I guess he could do whatever he wants. He's making money, and people are stupid enough to pay for these kind of fights, and it'll keep happening. And I say people are stupid enough to pay for these kind of fights because it's a stupid fight. I mean, I got to be honest. In my opinion, it's just a stupid fight. I'd rather watch skilled, best of the best people fight or people I'm interested in. For me, I don't know. I just never got on board
But see,
the YouTube thing.
but see, you is different because you're like a purist, a fighting purist. You know what I mean? Like you have your whole fighters rep, you have all this, you have all that. You are about the science. What Floyd Mayweather say? Most people don't know shit about boxing. You know what I'm saying? and shit, as much as I think I know, I'll throw myself in that category because every time you find out something different more and more, because unless you're in there, unless you're training and you're doing stuff and you're watching and I try to watch, I try to learn, I try to train, I try to learn, get much knowledge as I possibly can from people who actually do it and actually have done it. And you know what I'm saying? But it's still different when you're in there, though. It's like any sport. You can always gather information and be a coach, but it's certain things that you don't know unless you're in that ring. So I mean, but and it's like most people don't care about that. They want to see somebody get knocked out. And if you're a celebrity, you have a big name, they will watch Jay-Z. They will pay millions of dollars to watch Jay-Z fight
for sure.
Nas or something, and it'll probably be the worst fight in history to watch that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they just like seeing people get knocked out, especially people they know, celebrities.
Right. Yeah.
Celebrities are like, oh, it's celebrity boxing. I want to see if he can actually fight.
I'm with you, man. And, it shows you how powerful that casual market is, man. And I think where that really showed itself was that Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight where they did crazy numbers. I mean, I think they did double. I think they did double or more what Crawford versus Spence did, which is crazy.
I thought they did around the same amount. Yeah, they did double. I thought when I read it was around the same amount.
I don't know.
It was a little higher. I thought it was a little higher.
Bro, I heard they did over 1.2 or some shit like that, bro. And
casual fans love Tank too, though.
I know, but that's what happened because the casual fans love Tank. But then you also had all the Instagram following that Ryan Garcia has too. You know what I mean? So it was like a perfect storm. And it's crazy because you had Spence versus Crawford, which is the fight like the real boxing community has been waiting for like a decade. And I want to say it did half. I mean, I could be wrong, but I want to say it did half, which is still really respectable. I think it was 600,000 buys or around that much. But I heard that Garcia Davis did something like 1.2 or 1.4. I mean, maybe they're embellishing it, but I heard like it was a tremendous success. So,
I mean, I know I heard it was. I heard it did really good. I didn't look at the exact numbers, but I heard it did really good, and they were comparing it to the Crawford fight, and they were like, "That's how big that fight was." Also, but I mean, like, I don't necessarily want to put Ryan Garcia on the level of he's just an Instagram like Tommy Fury because he can box, he can fight.
Yeah,
the kid can fight. You can't take that away from him. He can really fight. There's not no Jake Paul, no Tommy Fury, nobody like that.
I think Tommy Fury is a decent fighter too. I mean, he's not at the level of a Ryan Garcia, but I don't know. I mean, maybe in a few years he could be if he really dedicated himself. Maybe he could be somebody at light heavyweight or whatever he fights at, cruiserweight or whatever it is that. Because those divisions are kind of slim, like especially I think like cruiserweight and stuff like that.
He will have to do one. I know before it was said that he was undisciplined. That's why the fight got canceled between him and Jake before, like drinking, partying. He loves the life of partying, drinking, and hanging out and all this other stuff. And I mean, maybe he straightened up and he changed it, but. Seeing him fight Jake Paul, I just feel like it's a lot of he needs a lot of growth for me to consider him like somebody who I even think of when I'm thinking of boxing or something, a big fighter, or up and coming fighter. There's too many other up and coming fighters that I just would rather pay attention to than Tommy Fury.
I hear you. I hear you. So, before we move on to the next thing, I want to ask everybody, please, if you're first time watching, please subscribe, join the channel. You can catch Fighters Rep 19 on September 9th. Be sure to get your tickets at FightersRep.com. Follow me at Fighters Rep or Fighters Rep Fez, and follow Gary at Ignorant Behavior on Instagram. So, Gary, the next thing I want to talk about, man, and I did a video on this yesterday, and it's getting a lot of traction too. And this is something, obviously, I wanted to talk to you about because, I do sense a hint of disagreement here, which is not unusual. Which is not unusual, but a lot of people are talking about Boots Ennis, man. Give Boots his shot. It should be Bud versus Boots next. And I don't think the fight's happening next. I don't think it makes sense for Crawford to fight Boots next, considering where he's at in his career and what he could be getting paid and doing versus where Boots is at in his career. But if the fight were to happen, right? If the fight were to happen, I see Bud Crawford like doing him in. That's just what I see. I see him. I don't see the fight going the full 12. I see Bud Crawford finishing him. That's what I see. I want to know what you make of the fight if it happens, and what you think would happen if those two were to fight. Because I'm a little confused. I'm not sure if you're saying Ennis would beat him or you just think it would be closer. I want to know what you think about this fight.
Okay. I'm going to start off like this. The fight ain't going to happen because Bud ain't stupid. And I'm not saying Bud ain't stupid like he's afraid of the kid. I'm saying Bud ain't stupid. He knows where the money is. Yeah. You fight a Charlo, that's a lot of people that don't even know who Boots is. Right, you know what I'm saying? So they know who the Charlos are because they're all over the map. You know what I'm saying? Talking crap and
also Bud's 36, right? I mean,
yeah, he's trying to get to the paper. He already came out and said it. Like, I'm trying to chase big fights now. You know what I mean? To go back and fight somebody who's not like, he don't have none of the top 4 belts. You have them all at 147. So what are you going to fight him for? Like, just to fight him for, just to prove that you're better than him? Because if it's money, exactly. If it's money, you're going to 154 and call him out one of the Charlos after you fight Ennis again. I mean, not Ennis, but Errol.
Spence. Yeah, after you beat Spence again, fight Charlo. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the common sense move. That he's 36. He's trying to get all the paper he can.
Hey, imagine. I just had to throw this in there, right? Imagine he beats Spence, then he beats Spence in a rematch at 154. Then he beats both Charlo brothers. Imagine that, like, my God. I mean, hey, that would be the most that would be the biggest troll in boxing history if he did some shit like that, bro.
Hey, honestly, that's not so far-fetched. I mean, it happened. And I mean, when he starts talking, then, boy, I beat your whole camp.
God.
But
Derek James would have to retire after that one.
Back to Boots and Crawford. Yeah, I disagree with you. You already know I disagree with you. And it's not that I know 100% that Boots. It's not like I know 100% that Boots would beat Bud. I won't be that crazy. Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. If I had to bet on it, I'll bet Boots. Now I know what you're gonna say. You bet Errol too. You bet Errol too, but I told you that was a 50-50 for me. I didn't want to bet it. You know what I mean? But it pushed. But I said before Bud fought Errol and before Errol fought Bud, I felt like he could beat both of them. Now, could beat both of them. I'm confident that I think he can get Bud. He's younger. He's just as fast as Bud, just as athletic. He's not Errol. Errol's not as athletic as Bud. Boots is. So it's not going to go that way.
Okay, so let me reply to that, right?
Go ahead.
You said he's just as fast. You said he's just as athletic. Okay, so tie athleticism and speed. So
power tie.
Who has more experience?
Bud.
And who's more technically sound?
Technically sound? I mean, I can't really say.
You can't really say.
I can't really say because like I said,
gun to your head. You have to say, I'm putting you on the spot. Look, I'm gonna
I would
put
say,
you on the
I would say
spot.
it's
Hold
about.
on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Bam! You're on the spot right now. Who is more technically sound?
I mean, honestly, I think it's about the same.
Damn.
I
Okay.
mean, I think it's about the same. I don't really see. I don't really see like this huge gap because people look at it like I brought up Karen before. They brought up Karen. And they brought up, oh, he couldn't. Yeah, he went headhunting. He was trying to get a spectacular finish, and that's what he did. He tried to get a spectacular finish, but at the end of the day, to act like this guy Karen gave him any type of problems when no judge gave him any round, and he lost the fight.
You mean the Russian guy that was running around?
Okay. Yeah. He didn't win anything.
Daddy, you come here.
Looks like
my kid, man.
So what I'm trying to understand is if you have them same speed, you have them same athleticism, you have them same skills, but you got Bud having more experience, what's making you say, because if that's 4 criteria now, they've tied in 3 and you've given Bud 1. So what's
I also give Errol, but see the thing you're missing is I also give Errol youth on his side too. So I got Errol with
Ennis, you
mean. Ennis. I'm sorry. Ennis. I got Ennis with you. He's 23. Crawford's 36. You know what I'm saying? He's 36 with a lot of mileage on him or whatever.
You know, and by the way, Jaron Ennis 26
years old.
Jaron Ennis 26 years old. So
okay, 26 hours off.
Does he have a lot of mileage on him? Like who has okay.
No, I'm just saying he's been fighting. I mean, eventually, even Floyd Mayweather, who didn't get hit a lot, he said his body started to break down. He started, even though he still dominated people, his body started to break down. He knew he wasn't. He recently talked about this. He knew because when they tried to compare him against Bud, and he was like, "Now let's talk about Pretty Boy Floyd. When I was fast, I had my feet. My body wasn't betraying me. You know what I mean? You know, like Money Mayweather, my body wasn't the same. Yeah. Talk about Pretty Boy Floyd, and he didn't take a lot of beating. But after a while, you punching people in the face. I mean,
but let's look at the last performances, right? Let's take a look at the last performances. You know, Bud Crawford, and this ties into your point about mileage and wear and tear. Bud Crawford got out of that Spence fight again in the biggest moment of his boxing career. In my opinion, it was the biggest moment of his boxing career. There was the most on the line that's ever been on the line. Unified, king of pound for pound, welterweight champ, whatever. The fight everybody's been talking about for years. I didn't even see a mark on the guy. The guy didn't look like he'd been in a fight. And then I watched the epilogue on YouTube. This guy was playing Top Golf. This guy went out to play Top Golf after that fight, bro, against the guy that was supposed to be like top 5 pound for pound, like the fight of his career. So he didn't even get touched really in that fight like that. Like, I want to say Errol landed some good shots, but he didn't, you know, there was not a lot put on the old.
Yeah, he never got hurt. He didn't get hit clean like he was hitting Spence.
I mean, Roy Monvilla, I don't care what anyone says, hit Jaron Ennis with way more clean shots than Errol Spence hit Terence Bud Crawford with. And we're talking about both their last. You're talking about Villa, right? Yeah, we're talking about both their last performances. Come on, Gary. Okay. It's Villa. You're from Miami like me, bro. We gotta pronounce it.
I'm not Spanish. Hey, you know Spanish. I don't know Spanish. So you're gonna have to help me out with that. I need more lighting back here right now. Because you see my color of my skin, I need a lot more lighting. I need to be where you at, and you need to be where I'm at. I need that white background like you got right there. Right now, it's almost where you almost about to see just teeth. All right.
With their lovely teeth and a lovely skin tone, Gary. But my point is,
here's my thing is that I think it's exaggeration about how much he got hit by Villa. Villa only, I think when I looked at the stats, he only landed like 60 something punches the whole fight to Ennis's 222.
Bro, but he was landing. Bro, but Villa is not Spence. Villa is a brawler.
And the thing is that
landing, bro. Villa was landing hard shots.
But listen. Do you understand the difference in amount of punches landed? Even power punches. Power punches, Ennis landed like 166 to. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. His how you say his name, Vita or whatever, Vita, right? Okay, you said it ain't Villa. I say Villa. You say Vita. Whatever. That's what I call. Whatever.
I like Villa. Let's stick with Villa. Let's keep it.
No, we're gonna go Vita. That's his name. That's his name then, okay? Vita. Or whatever. I Vita, okay? So he only landed like I mean, most of his shots were power shots because out of the 60-something, 50-something, 4 of them were power shots. Yeah. But Ennis landed like 166 power shots on him. You know how many judges gave him what the judges gave him? One judge gave him 1 round. The next judge gave him 2 rounds. The next judge gave him 1 round.
We can't always go with the judges. Gary.
But okay, so okay. So let's go by this then. Just like in the Spence fight, the doctor came over to Vita a few times to check to see if he was all right, thinking about stopping the fight because of the punishment he was taking. And so when we talk about get hit with clean shots, I've seen Bud get hit with clean shots in his career. I've seen Bud get hit with shots and things of that nature. He almost went 12 rounds with Benavidez. Not knocking Benavidez. He's a
Benavidez was good at that time. He was good.
He still is good. He just lost to his last fight, Danny Garcia or something. But that was like a split decision. That was like a split decision. And Danny Garcia is a good boxer. And you know what I'm saying? And he didn't get knocked out by Danny Garcia. It was a split decision, I believe. And against Spence, he held his own. Honestly, Spence didn't blow Benavidez out in that fight. He just ended up knocking him out.
Did Spence fight Benavidez? I didn't even think they fought.
I mean, not Spence. I mean Crawford. I keep mixing up names.
That was a good fight, bro. But I think Benavidez was very underrated at that time. I think he was a dangerous guy. I mean, you saw
he got shot in the leg too, though.
Yeah, and had he not been shot in the leg, who knows what would have happened in that fight? Because he looked real sharp. And you know what I heard? I heard that he was actually the better boxer than David Benavidez, but because he fucked around and got shot in his leg like a dummy, getting into whatever the hell he got into, I think he messed his career up. But man, he was an underrated guy. That's a dangerous guy.
But I'm just saying, like Vita, you acting like Vita is like this guy that's just got whooped by everybody. He doesn't have a lot of. He doesn't have. He's not a bum. He doesn't have a lot of losses. He just beat Speedy Ellis, who, and if we're being real, Speedy Ellis, they were trying to set that up for him to fight Boots.
Right.
And he knocked Speedy Ellis down twice and ended up winning that fight. Even though he was losing most of the fight. He was losing most of the fight, but he ended up catching up with Speedy Ellis eventually and doing it. So he's not a bum. And then, like I keep telling you, fighters sometimes when they know, okay, I got this guy, they'll take more risks, they'll take more things. They're not gonna fight every fighter the same way. It's just like when Bud said when Errol hit him and he got hit by Errol and he said, "Oh, that's all this guy got." Listen, it's gonna be a long night.
I hear you, but here's the thing. Villa is a come forward tough guy. Mm-hmm. Errol Spence is a come forward tough guy that's more educated.
Mm-hmm.
Ennis beat Villa. It took him 10 rounds. I'm not saying the math always adds up. It took him 10 rounds to stop him. Mm-hmm. Bud Crawford stopped Errol Spence in 9 rounds. And it was, in my opinion, it looked more dominant. Against a more quality opponent, and that was their last performance. So I'm just saying, momentum wise, momentum. Crawford looked the best he ever looked, even if he's 36 years old. He looked the best he ever looked. So I'm saying, momentum wise, I gotta go with Bud. speed and athleticism, I'm with you. I think they're about the same, right? Experience, I got to go with Bud again. And the difference for me is I just think technically Bud Crawford's more sound than Jaron Ennis. I do. I think Jaron Ennis has the ability. He would have to out-athlete Bud Crawford. He's not going to outbox him, in my opinion. He's not going to be able to outbox him. He's going to have to out-athlete him. And I don't think he has the coordination, the speed, or the reflexes to out-athlete Bud Crawford's technique combined with Bud Crawford's athleticism. That's what I'm seeing. That's what
this is what I'll say when I want to revisit athleticism.
Yeah.
And speed. One thing I think Ennis does when we talk about athleticism and speed, I think Ennis has faster feet than Bud. Now, hand speed, I think they're about even. They're about even. I think Ennis' feet are faster.
Are they better? Are they better feet though? Even if they're faster, are they better?
I mean, they're just as good. I mean, it's equal. I don't see him having a lot of sloppy footwork. I don't see him having a lot of sloppy footwork. Anyway, he switches, but he doesn't like. It's not like how Terence Crawford switches. Terence Crawford switches and he stays in there for a while, and he may stay in there for some rounds or whatever.
He's seamless.
Jaron Ennis. He will switch and then switch back and back and forth, and he just does it when he sees something in the moment. He's more of it's not calculated in his head of, hey, I'm gonna come out this round and I'm gonna come soft part this round, or I'm gonna, do this or do that. No, it's in his head. He's just like, it just boom, reaction. I see it. I'm gonna switch. Now I'm here. Now I'm hitting you here. Now I switch back, and it's just like constant, like. It's just a switch like that. So I mean, people compare him, but I like it's people like Roy Jones Jr. who said Bud would beat Errol Spence, and that's why Errol Spence don't care for Roy that much. He thinks Roy hates on him, whatever like that. But Roy Jones has said, "Hey, Jaron Ennis is the next thing coming. He's coming. Y'all better hurry up and get these belts because that boy is coming." You have Floyd Mayweather say the same thing. He's coming. That dude can fight.
But did they say he's going to beat? But did they say he's going to beat Bud Crawford though? He's coming. He is coming. He's 26 years old. He's 10 years younger than Bud Crawford. He is the next generation.
I understand.
Is he going to beat Bud Crawford? If you had to bet on it, you would bet Boots over Crawford. I just want to get this on the record. I need to get this on the record.
I've never hesitated. Anytime I say this, I'm going to say it again. And every time you ask me, I am going to say it until they fight and they lose. But it might be, I'm going to be honest, it might not be if they ever finally do fight, it may not be, the best fight, the best time to fight. Only reason why I say that is because we mentioned Terence Crawford's age. He's 36.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight Errol by. I'm just guessing because Errol says he wants to fight and it's in the contract. So he's gonna fight Errol by December. Then he says he wants big fights. Yeah. So then the next big fight he's gonna fight a Charlo. So then what are we talking about? He's 37. When are we getting in his fight? By the time he's 38?
Yeah, I don't think Crawford is dumb enough to do that. I think Crawford's too smart. He's going to retire on top. He's going to retire undefeated. I think Crawford retires undefeated. If he beats Spence again, and then Charlo, and then maybe the other Charlo, what's left to do? Like there's even if he beats one Charlo, right? Even if he beats one Charlo and they rematch, and he beats him again, he could ride off into the sunset after that.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that, he already mentioned that the highest he can go is 154. He did that on Ebro. He was like, he said the highest I go 154. He's not going past that. So all this talk about, let's fight Canelo is not going to happen.
No, he's smart. He's smart. The guy knows what. He said, "Shoot, I'm not going up there." When they said 160, I heard that. He's a smart dude. He knows what he's talking about. Yeah. By the way, shout out to the people watching. Shout out to the people in the chat. We're always going to get to your comments. Eduardo Dufal says, with the last fight, I see Crawford 65 versus 35 versus any 147 or 154 pounder, and he would be favored versus Canelo at 168. Sounds crazy, but that good looked Crawford and that bad Spence. What do you think about that, Gary? I mean, Eduardo, shout out to Eduardo. I believe he's out in Chile, by the way. Shout out to Chile.
I think one. I don't think he would be favored against Canelo. Canelo got too many fans, and he'll be coming up from what 147 to 168. He even said himself. He was like, man, those dudes are big up there. I'm not going up there. He says, I'm not crazy enough to hype myself up to say I can be. They have weight classes for a reason, and when you get to those weight classes, those dudes are big.
Yeah. No,
so I don't think he'll be favored against Canelo at all. I think he'll be favored against anybody at 147 and 154. I think he'll be favored against anybody because right now he has the momentum. I think he'll be favored against anybody. Even my boy Boots that I like, he'll be favored against Boots. I just feel like, it's like back in the days, young fighters used to come up and take it from the older fighters. Yeah. You know what I mean? The older legends and everything, the younger people come up and they go get that. And it's a new sheriff of town, and this is that. You know what I mean? And
listen, I want to. Go ahead.
And and I mean, like I said, all the top people who really are have acknowledged Ennis as being a beast. You know what I mean? I'm talking about people who are currently fighting. Like, oh yeah, he's a beast. And like you said, Crawford's not dumb. It's like I can take that fight on, but that could potentially be a tough fight. For what money? It is not going to be.
Well, I see Ennis as very possibly being the next guy in line at 147 pounds. But right now for me, he has to fight Virgil Ortiz and he has to fight Stanionis. These three guys have to fight each other, so we know who the man is at 147. Because as far as the eye test, a lot of people do think that Ennis is the man. And I was on that train. Too until I saw those last two fights. And now I'm questioning it. Maybe I'm wrong, but now I'm questioning it. Those last two fights, he didn't look that impressive to me. I think a guy like Virgil Ortiz would get Royman out of there. And I think Virgil Ortiz is very athletic and very aggressive. And I think that would be an interesting fight. And I think Stanionis, even though he doesn't have the professional experience of Ortiz or Ennis, I think he's a skilled guy. He was on the Lithuanian national team from when he was 16 years old, I saw. So the guy's seasoned, and he seems to fight correct. He seems to have a bit of like an American style a little bit. And I think, it would be a good thing. Now, if I were to pick who the man is at 147 between those three, I still would side with Ennis, but only slightly. I think he's on the same level as those guys, and they got to fight each other for me to say, okay, I'm going to give you the crown. You got to show me. You got to show me, Gary Martin.
Okay. So we're going to do a little history, right? So I remember when Bud and Errol was coming up. I said, these are the two guys. I said, these are the guys. And I was right about that. Now, I'm not going to make it seem like I'm a genius because lots of people thought that. You know what I'm saying? Lots of people thought that or whatever. Now, I can also go back to what it was. What I was thinking about. A lot of people thought like Tyson Fury would do Deontay Wilder. He's going to get killed. He's going to get knocked out. And I told people the first fight, I was like, Deontay Wilder is going to lose. Yeah. I was like, Deontay Wilder's going to lose. Have you seen this guy box over here? Yeah. The whole world like, oh, he's going to just be another guy. Deontay Wilder.
In fact, I was the only person that I know of that thought Fury was going to beat Klitschko when he went to Germany and fought Klitschko. I actually predicted that.
I mean, it did. I have a pretty good track record. I'm not. There's other people that I have seen.
I know you like Fury.
There's other people that I have seen that I was like, he's gonna be like when it was T.O., it was Devin Haney, Devin Haney, Tank, and who was it? T.O. Ryan Garcia. Mm-hmm. Me and you had a discussion. You said you thought T.O. was the best of all of them. That's what you thought, T.O. And I was like, I like Devin Haney. You know what I mean? But I do have something I got to switch on that now. I like Shakur now. I like Shakur to beat all of them. But
I'm with you on Shakur too. I think Shakur.
but when it was there, I'm like, I like Devin Haney better than all of them. Now, I'm not saying that Tio's still not a viable boxer. He's not still a top boxer, yeah. But he got took out by Kambosos. And I mean, maybe it was a bad night. Everybody can have a bad night, but he did. And Devin Haney made easy work of Kambosos twice.
Well, he looked really good. Tio looked really good in that Josh Taylor fight. I didn't think he was going to beat Josh Taylor like that, to be honest with you.
I mean, Josh Taylor, I think it was the other fight that I think that he lost, but they kind of gave it to him. Who was it?
Against the Catterall, the British guy against Catterall. Yeah.
And he had a tough fight with that one. So I kind of felt like Tio could probably beat him. You know what I mean?
I didn't at all. You know, I think what happened with Josh Taylor, I mean, we'll get into that in the future, I'm sure. But I think what happened with Josh Taylor, he keeps switching trainers. I think there's something wrong with maybe his personality or something. He can't, he can't seem to stay with the same trainer because Josh Taylor, this is the guy that unified at 140. I mean, this is the guy, he beat Regis Prograis. He beat, I mean, for me and from the eye test, he looked like the real deal at 140. And then all of a sudden he switched trainers and he just started, and then he switched trainers again, I think. And I don't know, something happened to that guy. But I thought a Josh Taylor with consistency that's priming and firing on all cylinders would have wiped out Tio, especially with the way Tio lost to Kambosos. But Tio looked like a different fighter in that last. But anyway,
and I mean, I just feel like certain like I ain't gonna lie. How do you say his name? I call him Villa. And what is Vita? Is it Vita or Villa? It's not Villa.
Yeah, Villa. Let's just do Villa. I'm into Villa.
I knew he was primed to get knocked out against Ennis because, like you said, he comes forward. That's like you basically fed him to the wolves when you sent him to Jaron Ennis because he's not gonna he's gonna be too fast and he's just gonna take advantage of a fighter like that. You know what I mean? But I just look at certain things as certain fighters like Ortiz. I don't think he stands a chance against Ennis. I think he gets beat.
Does it stand a chance?
Because he gets hit a lot, George. You talking about Ennis gets hit a lot.
Did you see? He took Mean Machine.
He relies on power.
He took Mean Machine out, though, like in vicious fashion. Like the same guy.
I think Boots will do the same thing.
Right, but don't forget, like that's a guy who knocked down Bud Crawford and gave him a little bit of a fight. You know what I mean? And he just he got
knocked out in the 7th round,
something like that. I mean, I just thought that guy was like a gatekeeper in my opinion. Mean Machine, he's a bit of a gatekeeper at that division, and I felt like if you could get through him, you're at a certain level, and they both got through him. So
well, I mean, if you want to say that, then you could say Lipinets was kind of a gatekeeper for you can say what's his name that he knocked out in the first round what's his name that he knocked in the first round that Boots knocked in the first round can't think of his name right now. I'll think of it later. But he knocked him out after Lipinets. He knocked him out after Lipinets. He went and knocked the other dude out and Not
Delorme, Thomas Delorme.
Yeah, Delorme. Exactly. I mean, he's on par with the Green Machine.
Yeah, but that guy got stopped by Crawford, lost to Ugas, drew with Jesse Vargas, and he lost to Jamal. He had lost to Jamal James and Stanionis 2 fights in a row, 2 losses in a row before he fought Ennis.
Okay, so Stanionis gets credit for him, right?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying he lost against top fighters though. Think about who you just named.
Jamal James.
Well, not Jamal James, but I'm saying Stanionis, who you saying is at the top of 147. Yes or no?
Luis Abreu.
Bud. He lost against Bud, right?
He lost against Bud, but he also lost against Luis
Okay,
Carlos.
and then he also lost against Ugas, who was a championship title.
Right, but he also
So that's
lost
3
against
fights that he lost against that were top people.
But okay, he lost against top, but he also lost against Luis Carlos Abreu, and he lost against he drew with Jesse Vargas, who's all right, and he lost to Jamal James. I mean, these guys are all right. These guys are not.
I'm not saying that he's a world beater, but what I'm saying I'm not saying he's a world beater, but I mean, look up who Green Machine has fought and how many losses he has. Who is he? I don't know his record like that off top of my head, but I'm just saying, who has he beat of any notoriety? That has he beat?
Right.
Exactly. So to me, they're on the same level. They're fighters that you have to fight at the beginning of your career, and I don't think a lot of casual people or people understand this. Is that they're like, oh, he hasn't fought anybody. Well, that's what you do when you're coming up in the ranks. You have to. You're not just gonna get big dogs. Big dogs is kind of like Danny Garcia was saying, because he said, I'll fight Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia said, you're not making a name off of me. Yeah. You had Kell Brooks saying Kell Brooks said he has no want to be a gatekeeper. Yeah. He doesn't want to be that. He doesn't want to go fight these up and coming dudes. So who do you make your name off of if you got
Kavaliauskas, Mean Machine has only lost to Crawford and Ortiz. Those are the only guys he's lost to.
And who has he beaten?
Well, he beat Abreu, who's the guy who beat Delorme, and
you just said Abreu is
he also beat David Evanesian, who's a good fighter. So he's beaten some pretty good guys, but of course,
so he hasn't beaten really any.
The times he stepped up versus the best, Crawford and Ortiz. I mean, he lost.
Yeah. So this is my thing is that all of these fighters, Ortiz is getting fed certain people who are good for him. It's just like Bud was saying against with Errol. They did a good job of feeding him people who were there for him or whatever. But like I said, always, when you're in the game, you're not gonna get. And you look how long it took Bud to get a big fight like this. The greatest Bud is 36. 36 is when he finally gets his big moment. 36, bro. That's forever. So it's when you're a danger to people. He even said, I remember Boots said he would have fought Ortiz a couple years ago, and they were like, oh no, that's probably like his trainers literally said this. That's probably like 4 years down the line.
Yeah,
4 years. Because they know what they're doing. No, we're not gonna put you in there with him right now. It's not a good smart decision to get in there with him right now. Yeah. Let's build you up. Let's get some fights. Let's get some more training, and then we'll consider putting you in there with him. They already knew that. And to me, I feel Stanionis has a better chance of beating Boots than Ortiz. And And for me, if I'm Boots, I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to go ahead and fight. What's his name? One time, Keith Thurman.
Keith Thurman. That's another.
I would want to fight Keith Thurman because that's a name bigger than
that's
Stanionis or Ortiz. It's a big name. People are gonna come out, and this is your time to put your imprint on it. If you go out there and put on an impressive show against Keith Thurman, because last time he was in the ring, Keith Thurman he looked good. Did he look like the old Keith Thurman? Totally no, but he looked good. Yeah. So I mean, it's a long time, but Keith Thurman eventually has to fight somebody because you're not getting Bud. Okay, you're not getting Bud.
Yeah. No, and Bud's going up. Bud sounds like he's going up to 154.
Yeah. And the thing is if Bud's going to 154, you have opportunity to get your belts back at 147.
5900's in the chat, Gary. He says Bud versus Boots would be interesting. Styles make fights, and I see Boots having more success against Bud than Spence did, which I agree with that. Not saying he will win, but I give Boots a good chance. And I give him a chance too, but not a good chance.
I agree with 59-50. It's a good chance. I feel like he feels. I'm not gonna sit here and go crazy and be like, oh, he's just gonna dog Bud. Bud's too good of a fighter to get dogged.
I think he's got a.
But I think it's a very winnable fight for him.
I think he's got a 5% chance to win that fight. Don't sleep on
5% chance.
5. Don't sleep on Stanionis. Don't sleep on Stanionis. He's a tough-ass fighter. I agree with that, and we've discussed that a little bit. Guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe, to the channel, join the channel. We appreciate it. Anything you guys spend here, also get your Fighters Rep merch in the link below, like this shirt. We got to get one for Gary. All that gets reinvested back into the promotion, back into the channel to make this.
Don't say you got to get one for Gary. You know I have one, bastard.
Oh, you already have one? Oh, you froze. Do you already have one? You bought one, right?
Yeah, you don't remember?
I gotta send you another.
It's a little too tight. I gotta
get you the hat too. Also, Jason Granado, Gary, this is a great segue into what we're going to talk about next, because Jason Granado is the I want to say the super lightweight 135-pound champ at FightersRep. He's undefeated. He's 7-0 right now. He says, "Hey, what's up, George? What's going on, champ? We appreciate you joining us in the chat." Gary, we're going to be talking about next David Pacheco versus Darren Smith too. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this young man, Jason Granado, because he's in here, and I want to talk about his opponent, Isaac De La Paz. Gary, these are the two top dogs, in my opinion. I mean, there might be three. There might be three top dogs at 135 pounds in the world of striking. I'm going to say in the world of striking, because there's no amateurs, in my opinion, that are even touching the amateurs we got at FightersRep. It's just not happening. So these are the two of the three top dogs, and I want to say the other one's probably D'Angelo. His name is D'Angelo Gianni.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we can make that fight versus the winner. But Jason Granado is taking on Isaac De La Paz. This is a fight that I've been wanting to happen. And Jason Granado's undefeated, Gary. He's never been out of the second round at FightersRep. He's only been to the second round once. All his other fights he's ended in the first round. The kid's a special talent. But he's going up against a guy, and this is a fight I like very much, and I think you'll appreciate this, because Jason Granado, for me, is an offensive powerhouse, right? He doesn't fight like Manny Pacquiao, but he's an offensive powerhouse like Manny Pacquiao. And this is the analogy I'm drawing. Isaac De La Paz is going to be the most technical, in my opinion, and defensively sound guy Jason Granado has ever fought. I mean, if you're going to give Jason Granado a 5 out of 5 in offense, you're going to give Isaac De La Paz a 5 out of 5 in defense. Kid's very defensively sound. They're both super long for the division. Jason's a 5'11", I want to say 135-pounder. Isaac De La Paz is a 5'10", 135-pounder. They're both very – these kids are shredded to the bone. They're in ridiculous shape. And this one's going to be crazy, bro. This one, and I can't wait for you to watch this and tell me what you think afterwards. I can't wait.
All right.
And I'm going to send you their fights, their previous fights, so you can grade them and we can talk about them on the next.
I'm gonna get familiar. I'm gonna get familiar with all your fighters.
Yeah,
I know some of them. I'm gonna get familiar.
But you did watch Darren Smith versus David Pacheco Part 1. You know that's the main event coming from FightersRep 19. It's for the middleweight title, 165 pounds in kickboxing. And, you saw the fight, and you obviously you have a favorite in the fight. But, I kind of want to know what your thoughts were on the fight and what you think happens in the next fight, and what these guys got to do, what Darren has to do to assure that he wins the fight again, and what Pacheco maybe has to do to make sure he gets a different result. You there, Gary? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
So what you think Pacheco has to do to get a different result? Tell me what you think about this thing.
I mean, I think he hasn't used his legs with that steep to keep, Darren from getting close to him, because every time he got close to him, it was no good. I mean, maybe he worked on his inside fighting a little bit, his inside defense, because every time Darren got in there, I mean, he's dropping uppercuts, he's landing knees. And all Pacheco was doing is balling up against the ropes, and he's getting himself trapped against the ropes, and he just balls up and he starts getting these haymakers just thrown at him. Yeah. And, I think he needs to, keep his keep the distance. Use your legs to keep the distance. Start hacking at his legs to slow him down because Darren's very explosive. So start, try to slow him down. Try to do some body kicks. Slow him down a little bit because he did seem at one point, I thought he was getting a little gassed a little bit. But then he turned it back on.
And then he caught like a second
win. Yeah. At first, I was like, oh, it seems like he's slowing down a little bit. He's getting a little tired. But then he just caught a second win. But then, if you see that, I don't think you should let him off the hook and let him get a breather to get his second win back because he starts slowing down a little bit. But I mean, he definitely cannot let him inside of him. He has to keep him at a distance, use his length with his legs. He can't out jab him because Darren's jab was faster. That's one thing I did see. His jab was faster, and he was throwing that 1-2 straight down the pipe when he could. You know what I mean? And I just felt he let him get inside too much. And Pacheco, from what I've seen, he's not a great inside fighter. He wants the distance. Now he's tough as nails because he was getting hit with some shots, man. I mean, some shots. And it was competitive in the first round. And then it's like Darren just took it to another level and he just wouldn't let him breathe. I don't know if that's what his corner was telling him, like you need to stay in his chest, and don't let him breathe. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think. He just needs to stay off the ropes, try to keep the distance, use your legs more. Just keep kicking him in the calf and in the thigh. Do some shots to the side, to the stomach. Slow him down. Make him. It looks like he can get tired. Make him get tired. Stay off the ropes.
Yeah. No, listen. I think that's perfectly thought out and very well said. I kind of saw the same thing, and by, of course, logically, if you're saying that David has to keep the distance, which I agree with, and use his length and use his teeps, then logically it would mean that for Darren to get that belt around his waist, kind of do the same thing he did in the first fight and stay inside and keep throwing those uppercuts. I mean, I would imagine that would be the strategy you would have for Darren as well.
Yeah, I mean, stay inside. And let me just say something. Thank you for correcting me, George. It's teep. Yeah, I watch MMA. I don't know all the correct terminology for kickboxing, but I know it's a push kick. You know what I'm saying? Just keep them off. But it's fighting is fighting, whether it's MMA, kickboxing or boxing, you know what I mean? But I think Darren, he needs to stick to the game plan he had. I don't see what anything was wrong with his game plan. It was dominant. He went inside. He did what he had to do. He stayed close to his body. He kept him in the corner against the ropes, and he just welled on him. And he gave him everything he could handle. I mean, I don't really see any advice. I don't want to give him any advice. Only advice I'll give him is don't come fight me.
Yeah, I mean, both of these guys are beasts. They got a lot of experience behind them. I'm happy to give them the opportunity to fight for a title. They've definitely earned it with the careers they've had. And, I look forward to seeing who wins the fight because, definitely Darren took over. I like the way you broke it down. I mean, I felt like Pacheco hurt Darren in that first round. I thought it was competitive, but I thought the first round went to Pacheco. I thought he hurt Darren with a 1-2. And then and he allowed Darren to get back into the fight. And it looked like Darren was gassing in the second round, but then was just allowed to get back into the fight. And I think when he landed an uppercut or something, it was some punch that he landed, it gave him the confidence. I think that confidence gave him that second win. You know what I mean? He was like, I can hit this guy clean like this. So I think that gave him the confidence he needed and pushed him and gave him that second win. And he was able to get Pacheco out of there. But like you said, man, Pacheco's tough as nails. The referee had to go in there and stop it. I've never seen Pacheco knocked out. I've only seen him get hit with some monstrous shots. In fact, I'm going to send you one of his fights with us where he fought Andrew Wynn, and he got dropped right at the outset in the first round, and he got dropped hard. And he got up, and he was looking around dazed and confused. I said, this fight is over. And he ended up coming back, I think it was like in the third round, and winning by knockout. So he's a guy that you do want to beat on him to the point that the referee stops the fight. And you don't want to let him off the hook either, because if you do, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back the way
he's a Diaz brother.
pretty similar, very similar, very similar.
You're gonna have to fight him to the end.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested in seeing if he makes adjustments, and a lot of time, I mean, it's fights that where a fighter gets knocked out or dominated, and he comes back and shows he's a different fighter now. So I think you said it's been a year since the last time they fought. Yeah. So you had a full year to kind of tweak your game a little bit, get a little better. So I'm interested in seeing if
and they both come from some of the best camps in the world. You got Darren Smith training out of Boxing Works, Coach Brian Popejoy, who's got champions at 1FC, and he's training some of the best strikers in the world. And then you've got Coach Jason Caldwell at Blackbeard Kickboxing in David Pacheco's corner, former fighter himself, the brother of our former super middleweight champion, Joshua Caldwell. Just an absolutely, incredible pair of corners going at it as well. So big shout out to all of them. But that's all we got for everybody tonight, Gary, man. I really appreciate your time. We've been at this for an hour, guys. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share. Join us every Monday. Me and Gary, we're doing this every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. You guys could join in, interact with us at the chat, leave any comments, any topics you guys want us to discuss. We're on them. Gary, anything you want to say?
And go watch that fight. I watched it, and it was one thing. Gonna get some action. There's gonna be some blood spilled too. It was a lot of action. It ain't no rolling around on the ground. No, you gotta get hit.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys very soon. Have a good one.
Yeah.